Before you start watching this video, I have two special offers. Number one, I will check your college application essays for free. And number two, there is a more detailed part 2 for this video. Here are the details of how you can avail my offer of checking your college application essay for free. Think of it as a giveaway of some sort. What you have to do is, number one, subscribe to this channel. Number two, like this video. Number three, find Siam Shoaib Noor on Facebook or Instagram and follow that account. And number four, after you follow that account, send me a few sentences on why I should check your essay. Each week starting from today, I will choose one winner and I will announce the winner on my Facebook and Instagram stories, and then I will help that person with their college application essays. Now I'll be talking a bit more of where you can find the detailed part 2 of this video. As you might notice, this video is a collaboration between me and Virtual Vine. So the part 1, which is this video, will be talking about the financial aid application on a high level for a specified country, as you can see from the title of this video. The part 2 will be a screen walkthrough of how to look for financial aid for that specified country, and you can find the part 2 of this video in the video description and the comment section, and that will be hosted on the channel of Virtual Vine. Hope you find this video useful.
Hi everyone, so my name is Himi. I'm a recent graduate from the University of Rochester. I studied engineering sciences and I currently live in New York and work as a DA for a database company. So in today's video, we're going to go over the financial aid process specific to the US universities. My experience is a little unique to most people. I actually started off as an international student and then moved on to becoming a domestic student my sophomore year. So I have gone through the financial aid process for both these spectrums. So in today's video, we're going to go over the FAFSA and the CSS profile. So the first thing first, CSS profile is the more intense of the two documents, specifically if you're applying as a domestic student. But if you're applying as an international student, CSS profile is going to be the most helpful document that you can provide to your prospective university when it comes to deciding your financial aid package. So given how serious the CSS profile is, there are obviously a lot of different resources that are available out there. The first one we're going to go over to is the US News website, where they actually have a guide on how to complete the CSS profile. The CSS profile is through the College Board, but a lot of different resources exist out there to help you go through the process. One of them is the US News. This actually goes through a variety of different ways to complete the CSS profile. And it is like I mentioned earlier, it's very in-depth and it asks you a variety of questions to determine your financial aid eligibility for specific schools. It's really important that you go through the CSS profile form with a fine-tooth comb, because it really helps decide what is the appropriate amount of financial aid that you need. So this is one of the first one. There's a really good description of the difference between CSS and FAFSA on this article, which I really think is something that really people should go through. Something that I really want to mention are fee waivers. Oftentimes, people who are applying to colleges are people from disadvantaged backgrounds. So it's really helpful to get these kind of waivers in order to help you make the whole application process affordable as well. So there's obviously waivers that you can ask for. Here, like it mentions, waivers are available to low-income undergrads who receive a SAT fee waiver in case where the parental income reported on the CSS profile application is approximately $45,000 or less for a family of 4, or if the students are orphans or wards of the court under 24 years old, there's no fee. This is definitely something that you should definitely consider when you're applying for CSS. The second resource that I want to talk about is through your university websites. When you're applying to a specific university, and I'm taking my university for example here, the University of Rochester website actually has this financial aid and scholarship website that actually goes through all the different documents and provides many different resources that you can potentially find when you're applying, going through these documents. So here it will link the different resources that are beneficial to you, and it takes you to the College Board website, which is really important because it does actually give you a lot of different resources for, like I mentioned, the fee waiver and what exactly do you need when you're applying or when you're like completing these forms. And obviously it has a section for international applicants because this is mandatory for international students. They don't need to fill out the FAFSA. For FAFSA, you need a social security number. Therefore, you are not filling out the FAFSA. So when we go over here you'll get like helpful tips and resources that you need for your CSS. The few things that I think were definitely beneficial that I wasn't aware of is when I was starting to fill out the CSS profile, there are certain documents that you need to have while you are filling them out. So like here it says that these are the documents that you are definitely going to need. So you'll need your most recent completed tax returns, the W-2 forms, and other records of current year income. These are very helpful to have because these are things that you'll also potentially will have to submit to your university as well. So it's beneficial to be having these or referencing to them when you're applying to or when you're filling out these forms. So that's really important. And then the deadline is extremely vital because I actually missed my CSS profile deadline when I was applying to colleges. So definitely keep this in mind. Submit your CSS profile by midnight Eastern EST of your earliest priority filling date. So which I believe is December 15th, but I could totally be wrong on that, so double check on that. So those are some of the advice that you need for CSS profile. I truly think that the College Board website is a very helpful resource when you're trying to apply for the CSS profile or when you're completing your CSS profile. So this is definitely something that's really helpful. So that's on CSS. Now we're gonna go back to talking about the FAFSA. So for those who don't know, FAFSA is the federal student aid that the US government provides to domestic students. And to be a domestic student, you usually have a green card and you have your passport. So like I mentioned, I actually was able to apply for FAFSA for my sophomore year. And FAFSA is actually a lot more straightforward compared to the CSS profile. You genuinely just need your tax return, previous tax return, and then you just go online and fill this form out. It helps determine how much federal aid you can receive, which is separate from the aid that the university will provide for you. Through this, I was able to qualify for the Rochester grant, local grant. I was able to qualify for the two federal loans. One is subsidized and one is unsubsidized. So those definitely helped eliminate some of the challenges I would have faced financially if I hadn't received this grant. So this was really helpful to fill out. So yeah, those are the two main documents that you need to fill out if you are a domestic student living abroad, or if you're an international student. CSS profile and completing it carefully will be your best friend. So yeah, thank you for watching and have a great day, and do subscribe to Virtual Vine.
Hey everyone, my name is Nasrullah Babar and I am an incoming freshman at Stanford University. As of now, I am undecided regarding what I want to study when I go to Stanford, but I did apply as a chemistry major. A little bit more about myself. I am residing in Dhaka, Bangladesh right now, and I applied to the US this year as an international applicant, meaning that I am neither an US citizen nor am I an US permanent resident because I was born and bred here in Bangladesh. Lastly, I am on a gap year right now, which means that I basically graduated last year from a private school here in Dhaka called SFX Greenhill International School. So over the past few months, I have come across a lot of high school students who are very confused and worried regarding the whole scholarship or financial aid application process. And as a result, in this video, I will talk about my personal financial aid application journey to top US colleges where I got accepted to, like Stanford, Columbia, Dartmouth, and so on. But that is not all. There is a second part to this video, so please watch till the end. for the link to that video, I believe that cost was not an extremely significant factor because my demonstrated financial need was not as much as a lot of other applicants. However, I personally think that the entire cost of an undergraduate education in the US is a bit too much, regardless of your financial background. And as a result, that did lead me to applying to schools with very generous financial aid policies. As for the source of my funding, I realized that I'm going to have to mainly rely on my parents and their savings to finance my education at Stanford. A common alternative here to using your parents' money is taking a student loan, as I'm pretty sure a lot of you have heard. But firstly, getting federal loans from the US government is not possible for us since we are international students. And secondly, getting private loans, like from banks, is not feasible as well because I personally was strongly advised not to take any such step because there are a lot of caveats related to taking a private loan. There are, however, some other alternatives when it comes to financing your own college education, but I will talk about them later in this video. So just to elaborate a bit more on how I started my financial aid journey, I selected the colleges I was going to apply to on the basis of their relative cost compared to other colleges across the country, rather than just looking at the flat cost of attending the particular college. So, for example, rather than just looking at how much it will cost me to study at Stanford, I compared the cost of attending Stanford with that of other colleges within the same state as well as in other parts of the country. I also looked at how generous these colleges' financial aid policies are and how committed these colleges are to meeting the full demonstrated need of all their applicants. Now, a lot of you might be confused regarding where and how to find all this information. So see, the very first thing that you can do is just use a simple Google search. So I know that this sounds somewhat silly, but trust me, you'll be surprised to see just how many comprehensive articles and helpful websites you can find, which will basically tell you everything that you need to know. I want to focus on the results that I achieved out of my financial aid application journey this year and talk a little bit about the financial aid resources available at my college, which is Stanford. So just for some context, there are mainly two types of funding that you can be provided with at colleges across the US. These are number one, merit-based scholarships, and number two, need-based scholarships. Merit scholarships are basically dependent on your standardized test scores, your GPA, and your overall academic performance in high school. Need-based scholarships, on the other hand, are solely dependent on the financial need of your family. So Stanford itself does not provide any sort of merit-based or standalone scholarships. The only type of funding that you can actually secure from Stanford is in the form of need-based scholarships, or simply financial aid as we call it, and something else known as athletic scholarships. Now, athletic scholarships are basically reserved for a very, very small percentage of applicants at Stanford. I, like the majority, also just received need-based financial aid. But the best part here is that Stanford commits to meeting 100% of the demonstrated financial need of its applicants, and it did so in my case as well. My financial aid package consisted mainly of funding which directly came from the university, as well as funding that I have to raise when I go there with the help of on-campus student employment. So remember how I was telling you guys that there are alternatives to just letting your parents finance your whole college education or getting student loans, well, this is it. The reason why I am emphasizing on the on-campus part of student employment is because we, as international students on student visa, are not really allowed to work off campus like most of our peers during our freshman year. Technically, we are allowed to work outside after our first year, but there are still a lot of limitations, including how we cannot work off campus until we declare a major, how we always have to seek a job related to our major, and how there is a limit to the number of hours you can actually work. So the preferred choice here is on-campus employment for most international students. So getting back to what I was saying, my aid package consisted of university funding or university scholarship, as Stanford calls it, and funding to be raised by working part-time on campus. Some students also try to get scholarships from outside organizations and companies, but once again, the scope for securing the scholarships as an international student is extremely limited because the institutions that provide these standalone scholarships are usually US based, and I personally did not apply for or get any outside scholarships from independent organizations. So yeah, that is basically what my financial aid application was all about. Like I said at the very beginning, there is a second part to this video where I will solely focus on the Stanford financial aid process, walk you guys through their website, and tell you all the details that you need to know in order to apply as a financial aid seeking international applicant to Stanford. That video will be posted on the YouTube channel of the Virtual Vine, so hope you'll find the link attached here. So be sure to check it out. Till then, hope all of you are safe during these troubled times. Stay tuned and thank you for watching.